Okay, and greetings, everybody. Keith here. Hoping everybody's having a good day, enjoying life, living life, loving life. Want to remind everybody hit that like, share, and subscribe button for me. There's a PayPal link for anybody that wants to share some love down in the details section. And of course, we have the link down there for anybody who wants to join the panel. And we've got John with us again tonight. How you doing, John?
Doing good, Keith. How you
Good.
doing today?
Good. We're gonna take another little stroll through the metaverse and take a look at some insanity and possibly even some good thought processes as we go through and review some more shorts tonight. I think I'm going to make this a larger portion of the platform here, specifically for the Paul Jr. platform. As you notice, I speak about the Heroic Imagination Project on this platform from Philip Zimbardo. And I think a lot of people really need to start looking into that kind of attitude in life. If you really want to be a good person in this life, you can't just go around your daily life in a ho-hum drum manner as if though it really doesn't matter. You have to make it worth it, and you have to make sure that it has that effect. So hopefully that's what we'll be able to portray on this channel. And by doing so, we're going to look, or by looking through the shorts and everything, we're hoping to be able to point some of the inconsistencies out, the insanity, and of course, like I said a minute ago, the things that are of good thought processes. So let's go ahead and get started into it. I got a bunch of them lined up. Let's see what we got here. Which one is it? Which one is it? There we are. Oops,
Do women need men?
No, absolutely not.
What would society be like without?
Okay, I got to start this over. This didn't start at the beginning. Pay very, very close attention, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm not going to say this is across the board because, of course, you have your losers in every category, both male and female. And but for the general premises of it, generally when you go around asking this particular question of most people, you're going to get generally the same kind of response.
Do men need women?
Yes.
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 Do women need men?
No, absolutely not.
What would society be like without men?
I think the great men stay, the trash men go. Where's the
Everybody stays, and it's a sort them out thing. See, men need women, and ladies, you need men. So it's a matter of sorting them out and not just wanting a bad guy because that makes you look cool, but then in the sheets you want the good clean cut guy that has a good corporate job and makes good money. You can't be wishy-washy. So if you're going to start your life out being with trashy men and then expect a good, decent man to want you, it's like expecting somebody going out looking for a new car and having them go to a used car lot. You're not going to find a new car at a used car lot. So if you go to a used car lot, you're looking for a used car, folks.
trash man? Take them out.
What percentage of men are good and what percentage are trash?
10% are good.
Yeah.
90 of them are trash.
Yeah.
What would society be like without women?
Absolutely terrible.
What do you think feminism has done to modern day women?
I think modern day feminism is just an absolute disgrace. I think it's become a political weapon to push the narrative that women are inferior to men and women are not valued in society and women need to fight and be almost super aggressive towards men is completely wrong, because women are probably one of the most valuable things in society.
And feminism tells women that men don't believe they're valuable.
Feminism tells women that men don't value them as a whole, but I think feminism makes women feel like they're not valuable to themselves, and I think that's the worst message that you could instill in the younger generation.
This goes to the same message as it relates to racism. Any race, I don't care what race it is. If you believe in it, that means technically, the way I feel about it anyway, is that you firmly believe that if racism exists against you, it's because you yourself think you are not worth it. And that is the perfect reason and example of somebody else using that against you, is your own um your own what do they call it, esteem, your own self-esteem is being used against you. What do you got, John?
Well, I think one reason a lot of girls go for the bully today is because a lot of guys are pansies.
Yeah, and I think that's coming from over the changes in time. You know, it used to be that a woman would hang on the arm of a guy that would go out and have a street fight or a gunfight with somebody if they disrespected them. They thought that was respectful, that was honor, that you stood up to somebody that just merely disrespected you. Today's day and age, you have people disrespecting each other left and right and using ad hominems, and nobody really is discerning for themselves what truly is respectful, and that is your own attitude. I don't care what anybody else says about me being an angry old man. I really don't. Just like at the end of the streams when I say I love you, and I don't give a fuck whether you love me back or not. I really don't. What really means a lot to me is your actions. Because when you go around spouting things and then don't follow them up in your own actions, that tells me I don't need to pay attention to you at all. Whereas if you show your actions and then follow them up with your words, that's the one I'm going to pay attention to. So yeah, the feminist drive, along with the civil rights movement and all that, those are all just things that a polity uses against you by creating another ad hominem. Feminism is a noun. It's a type of a noun that relates to a certain class or category or stereotype or portion or partition of peoples. And so when you realize that that's what they're doing, is they're separating you from the rest. What they're doing is they're making a cut. They're cutting you. They're cutting you off from the rest in that grammar sense. If you're aware of this and understand your origins, you don't let that kind of stuff happen to begin with, because you're not part of that fiction to begin with. You don't call yourself a feminist. You don't call yourself a civil rights activist. You don't call yourself this or that. You call yourself accordingly to your actions. And if you're going to do that and you profess that you're righteous in all those realms, then why don't you just say you're righteous instead of saying you're a civil rights activist? Because a civil rights activist to somebody else that's having their civil rights trampled, you know, goodness gracious, are you fighting for my civil rights or somebody else's? There's a certain definition of separation there. And it's done by the words.
And why are we letting government tell us we have rights? Doesn't God provide those naturally? Shouldn't we already be aware of that? Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I say in your natural stance, your true thing of having rights is your own ability and responsibility to enforce them. Without that, you have no rights. You truly don't. It doesn't matter what some piece of paper says. So let's get back to it. The next one I've got, oops.
For no clear-cut reason at all.
Now, this is just a statistical thing that I ran across, and it does make you go, huh? What the hell is going on here? And so pay attention to the statistical rates here. But at the end of the day, I'm still going to say it's because Alaska is such a large frontier. And though you might have communities in Alaska and Canada as well, I imagine it has a large rate there. but your wilderness expanse is so vast and open up in that area, and that's pretty much what you have in that area is predators. Yeah, you got antelope and moose and stuff, but you're going to have a lot more predators than you do down in the contiguous states. So a lot of the disappearances can be accounted for there. I don't know if all of them, but certainly a lot of them.
Alaska's missing persons rate is astronomical compared to the rest of the U.S. So for context, Massachusetts sits at the lowest end with 2.74 missing people for every 100,000 people. Followed by that on the low end is Rhode Island at 2.57, and then Iowa at 3.28. On the highest end, you have the state of Hawaii with 16.68 people missing per 100K. Following that up is Oklahoma with 16 and Arizona with 14. Every other state falls somewhere in between except for Alaska, which has
173.5 missing people for 1,000.
173.5 people missing. So you have to ask yourself, what exactly is that all about? For no.
What do you think, John? You think there's something to that? I mean, a lot of people sit there and say there's, they've been talking lately about the pyramid up there, the Black Pyramid, and aliens. What do you think?
I'm not into all that.
Yeah, I kind of wondered about that because you've never spoken on that kind of stuff, and I don't speak on that kind of stuff a lot myself either. But it does make you wonder, and so, like I said earlier, my firm belief is because, and of course, it doesn't necessarily have to explain all of them, and maybe it doesn't, but such a high rate to me would be because that's such a large, expansive area, and you have much more. A greater population of predators themselves, as well as a much more diverse series of predators. You have wolves, bears of both kinds, polar bear and grizzly Kodiak bears, two of the most dangerous species on the planet when it comes to land animals. So that's just my thinking on that.
Yeah, well, we have lions and tigers and bears on that Golden Road.
Yep. So the next one, this goes to that territory of where you live and whether you're proud of that territory. Okay. This goes to being British or American or German or anything like that, like we were just talking a minute ago about them ad hominems. See, I don't really care about those. I don't care if you're British. I don't care if you're German. I don't care if you're a nigger. I don't care if you're Caucasian. I don't care about none of those terms. What makes a difference to me is your actions, and that in those actions you portray an image and likeness. That's it. So let's listen to this, young man.
Horrible history behind it.
Wrong. There is a wonderful history to it, because Britain, more than any...
Let's reset it.
Are you proud to be British?
No, there's a horrible history behind it.
Wrong. There is a wonderful history to it, because Britain, more than any other nation, has forged the modern world. It is thanks to British brilliance that we have vaccines, penicillin, railways, the steam engine, the jet engine, stainless steel, television, and the World Wide Web. And then you have sports like football, rugby, cricket, golf, table tennis, enjoyed by billions all over the world and all originating from these islands in the north of Europe. Whilst
that's an awful rough claim right there. Of course, a guy would have to search it out and do his research and find out if the internet really did start in Great Britain, right? Make sure that all those things did start in Great Britain, right?
No, U.S. Department of Defense.
Yeah, is anybody going to go and do their research on that? Or are they going to just believe this and pass it on and share it? See, that's why I share these things, because I'm going to ask questions about them, folks. So when it comes to questioning the information out there, the comments that people like this make as how it relates to the topic of whether you're proud of being a British or not. Is that what your pride is all about? Is that somebody else? in the past that came from that same area created that thing, and then another one, somebody else from that same historical past created something else? Aren't we all from the same historical past if you go back far enough? This is the problem I have with people that want to talk about etymology and then don't want to go back to caveman drawings and things like that. Well, that's not etymology. The fuck it isn't. That's the origin of a language. So don't sit there and placate that you have to stop somewhere in time and say, from here, from this point on, now we have credence. No, there's been credence since the beginning of time, and nobody wants to go back to that origin. So,
empires have existed for all of history. Only the British Empire used its great might to wipe out slavery all over the world.
Really? To wipe out slavery all over the world. You see the mindset? See, these people think there is no more slavery. There most certainly is slavery. It's talked about daily, and it comes in many forms. One of them most particularly is the mental slavery that you're in now in this metaverse when you believe this stupid shit.
This decades-long task freeing slaves came at a large cost. Many British lives were lost and great sums of money were spent. Britain fought for the freedom.
And whose money was spent in America? Was that British money spent in America? Whose money was spent in South America? Is this guy claiming that British is the only one that spent any money on trying to resolve slavery issues over decades? See, that's what it sounds like. So I urge you to think about what people are saying when they have this objective view that's portrayed as a subjective view that applies to you as if though you have to accept it. No, you don't. What you do is you do your research. You quit believing this stupid shit.
Freedom of Europe in 2 world wars and defeated some of history's most evil regimes, whether it was the Ottomans in World War I or Germany and Japan in World War II. So as you've probably guessed, yes.
As you probably guessed, yeah. No. If you take your history lessons properly, folks, you see that Russia is the one that put the end to that World War II by their land troops in Germany. America dropped the atomic bombs on Japan, but it was Russia that ended that fucking war, folks.
Yes, I'm very proud to be British.
Are you proud?
He's very proud to be an idiot too, I'm sure. Just saying.
I saw this really cute guy at the grocery store the other day, so naturally I followed him to the checkout counter, and when he gave the cashier his credit card, I peeped it to see what his name was.
Okay, ladies, gentlemen too, I don't care how you go about your dating scenarios. This is psychotic. If you can't introduce yourself appropriately and be social, then you have a psychological problem that says you have to investigate somebody like a detective, and as if though they're already a criminal, and you have to make sure they're not a criminal before you can have any social interactions with. Why don't you just interact socially first, you psychotic motherfuckers? That's my opinion right from the start.
Bingo.
Go peeking over somebody's shoulder to get their private information so you can look them up on the internet. That's sickening.
And then I Googled him and found his social media profile.
And through social media, she finds his mom, who is apparently part of this book club. She joins that book club. She attends a meeting of that book club. She meets his mom, has a conversation with her. By chance, lets her know that she is single as a Pringle. Mom thinks, oh, this is great. My son is single. Let me match you up with him. They exchange numbers and he ends up setting up a date with her. Two things here. Obviously, there's a double standard going on because if a man did this, he would be labeled a creep and a stalker. Two, I think this highlights how bad women are at just approaching a guy and introducing herself.
Absolutely. That's what I'm talking about, ladies. If you can't be natural and approach a guy and not have this fucking fear in the back of your mind that says he's an asshole because you know an asshole and you're going to portray that one asshole and cover it as a sheet over every other man. You cannot paint every man with the same fucking color, folks. You have to quit this. It's insanity. Quit it.
Like she would rather find a way to find his name so that she can then find him on social media so that she can confirm that he's single. She will literally spend 10 hours of her life trying to figure out if this guy is Mr. Right before she even says hi to him.
I saw this really.
And that's insane. See, it's only because of the internet that people do this stuff. See, this isn't something that people did in the 1300s. This isn't something people did in the 1500s, 1700s, 1900s. It isn't until the 20th century, very currently modern, that people started doing this. And this is a psychotic, disturbing behavior. You should recognize it.
When the government incentivizes people to not work, don't be surprised when they don't work.
This is the crazy thing about the state tearing apart the family and providing single women that will go out there and have multiple children, knowing that the state will provide for them. You fucking sluts.
I'll tell you something crazy about New York. Not having a job makes your life so much easier.
Not having a job makes your life so much easier. See, that's the lazy son of a bitches that think life is supposed to be all about fun and happiness and joy. And it's these kind of fucking sluts. And if you don't like my language, then leave. You must be some kind of child. We're talking adults here. If you're going to sit there and think that you're going to raise children that are going to be good children by opening your legs to every man out there and then not being with any of those men and using the state as the daddy, how well do you think those children are going to learn to grow up to be a woman or a man if they have neither raising them?
Huh? I know you're like, huh? So boom, let's say you got mad kids and you don't want to work.
You got mad kids and you don't want to work. Why you got mad kids and don't want to work? Because you got mad kids, because you got mad with all kinds of mad men that didn't want to have children, and now you don't want to be with the man, but yet you got children. So you're going to go get with another mad man and have another mad child, and now the whole world is mad. What the fuck is this mad? Not having a job makes it easier, makes your life easier, because if you got mad kids, what is this mad kids? It can't even use the English language right. Mad is not a number, which is how she's using to express it here. If you got mad kids, if you got a lot of kids and don't want to work, why you got a lot of kids, you slut?
You just want to stay home all day, smoke weed, be lazy.
Are you really this lazy?
Go to the shelter, free housing. What's the next step? An apartment, free housing. Or you're going to have a little copay. But guess what? You don't have a job. So where's the copay going to come from? Cash assistance. Where's the food going to be coming from? Food stamps. So as long as you don't have a job, you will always have a roof over your head and you will always have food in your stomach. They will always look out for you.
Okay, so yeah, great. Super ratchet. Like, you're getting free money. You don't have to work. But what happens when everyone does this?
Well, it will fall apart.
Absolutely. Now you got mad society because nobody want to work.
It not only hurts the kids, Keith, it also bloats government. We lose twice.
Well, yeah, and that's what I'm talking about. These kids grow up without any parents, effectively. And they grow up in a society where they're going to school to try to learn, and ain't nobody going to teach them anything except to remember what people are doing now. And I'm telling you, people, children are very intuitive. They know when you're lying to them. And when they grow up without that indoctrination and have that discernment in their heart from the start, without trusting any of you, because they know all you adults are fucking lying, what do you think they're going to grow up and do? They're going to grow up doing the same goddamn shit because nobody's teaching them how to work the system right. That's the main problem. Everybody wants to use the system for its convenience. It's convenient to not work and be lazy and smoke weed all day and get a medical excuse to smoke the damn weed so you can get a prescription and prove that you're disabled and can't work. So you have to live on the dependency of the government. That's the laziest motherfucking, most tightly bound slave that I can fucking think of. You think you're free. You think you're top shit. But there's not a fucking place you can go in this world without somebody latching on to you. You will always carry that ID in your pocket saying you have a ID for medical cannabis. Really? That's why you're lazy, so you can get medical cannabis? Fucking pathetic. So the next one goes to that same sluttiness. So let's pay attention.
Our time has come. Ladies, your time has come too. Guess what? Maternity fraud is now legally a crime, and if a man is forced to pay child support for a child that was not his, oh, get ready. Guess what, ladies? You now owe the entirety of all that child support back to that man.
Now you know what this opens the door to. Think, people. Think. Now what happens if that guy wins that paternity suit and now that child grows up without a daddy? Can that child now go against mom, making false claims of paternity because she couldn't keep her fucking legs shut? You know, we did have a lady that sued her mom and dad for giving birth to her because it wasn't her choice, and she actually won. It was reversed, of course, thank God. But initially, she fucking won the lawsuit on that premise. So now we have another door open, and this is the insanity of going around suing each other and making claims that are baseless. Because they're all just ad hominems. Again, remember, the paternity test, that's based on an ad hominem. That's based on the fucking last name.
If a man gets asked for a paternity test and that child is not his, which, by the way, 30% of the time it isn't, if that man can prove infidelity, which means you cheated, you may owe the entirety of all that child support back. And if you cannot pay it back, you are going straight to jail. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200.
I don't know if that's true, but I know they can try to tell you to pay it back. And then this guy talking about you can go straight to jail. No, that's debtor's prison. So, no, you can't. They're not supposed to. But at the same time, again, the facetiousness of it, or the falseness of it, excuse me, is that you truly don't owe a goddamn thing in that paternity bullshit anyway. See, the paternity determination is for child support. So again, think about this stuff, people. You have to realize that this system is rigged against you because you rig it against you by not knowing how it works.
We give them priceless data, and they twist it into child support? Oh my God.
Yeah, they wouldn't do that. Your government wouldn't do that. Don't say that, John. I'm not saying that. You know what I mean? So the next one, this is how stupid it's getting, folks. Again, just like this lawsuit stuff here that I mentioned, it doesn't matter to me. You're not going to be able to make me pay anything anymore now that I understand that payment system. And it's the same thing with this this concept that people have, that they have the right to go out and protest and to get in the space of other people with their opinions and ideas and concepts and stuff, and have all these conflicts. So pay attention. This is what the news media wants. This is why they love those protests, and you have to be prepared to come back at them in the proper fashion when they ask you questions. The best answer to a question is I don't answer questions. But if you get caught up in those questions, make sure that you know how to respond.
You all right?
Yes, I'm all right.
Are you racist?
Am I what?
What are you think at these people now? Why? Why you stay
You
here?
said, are you racist? Am I racist?
Yeah.
No, I'm not a racist. Why do you ask that?
She asked, okay, understand this, and this is a Jesse Peterson video. And so we're going to get some help here with Jesse Peterson, and it's going to point out a very important aspect of these news agencies, folks. I don't care what the topic is. They're going to use them ad hominems against you as much as they can. If you understand that, you can learn how to shove it right back down their fucking throat.
Well,
why is it that people who stand up for America and who want to protect our own borders, why are we always trying to be backed up with the racist thing? I'm standing here with a black man. If I was a racist, this is my brother right here.
That's a dumb question to ask. You're asking that question so you can use it on your program to make him look like a racist. Why don't you ask me, am I racist?
Why don't you ask me if I'm racist? Because I'm black. See, why is it these news reporters don't ask men if they're feminist? Why is it they only ask white men if they're racist? Why is it they only ask women if they're feminist? You see where we're going? We're going mad. We're going mad, folks.
Because I'm black, right? I love America too, and I think these illegal aliens need to be shipped back to their country. So why is that racist? You're a racist for asking him that question.
Thank you, Jesse.
And you're only doing it because he's white, and that's what you're going to show on your report tonight. You shouldn't play that kind of game.
And now here's where I'm going to outdo Jesse. Because, again, I don't care if you're German, American, Puerto Rican, Mexican. I don't care. Leviticus 25, verse 23. The land shall not be sold forever, and ye are strangers and sojourners with me. Now, like I posed on a panel earlier, which one of you is not a child of God to begin with? I believe most everybody, except for atheists, believe they are a child of their God. Pure and simple. And if that God is the one that created this land, then it's that God's land. Water, air, everything. So no matter what God you believe in, unless you believe in a system of gods, I guess, where one God created is the God of the land, you know, I guess I got to give that exception. But even then, that would placate that you have a God that says, well, he's allowed on any of my lands. See where I'm going? So even those fictional borders of Mexico and Canada are false.
That's a dumb question.
Shame on you.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
Yeah. Oh, I'm feeling better than ever.
He got smucked up, didn't he? Blood all running down his face. Somebody hit him hard with something or knocked him down. But that's where we're going, folks. We're going mad. Going mad over stupidity. Now here we got another one, and I want everybody to pay attention to this. This is something that is knowledge that's out there. It's portrayed. Anybody can have it. But for some reason, they don't. So I'm going to talk about this. This is Chrysler. This is Chrysler, who took on a federal loan in 1979 to help bring them back, supposedly. But in fact, what happened was they were going to destroy the industry with this car.
Maybe once every 50,000. One spark plug, maybe once every 50,000 miles, put a new spark plug in it. But
one spark plug, not 4, 6, 8, or 12.
Never change the oil.
Never change the oil, as opposed to every 3 months.
And then also, it'll run on any liquid that burns.
You could run it on unleaded gasoline, JP4 jet fuel, kerosene,
diesel, home heating oil, VO5 hairspray.
We've heard stories that one that was in France that ran on Chanel No. 5 perfume.
I went down to Dothan, Alabama for the Peanut Festival, and we ran the vehicle on peanut oil, and it smelled like a Chinese restaurant. People were amazed.
In South Africa, they wouldn't believe us when we said this car would run on cognac. So we gave it a try. It worked, of course.
One spark plug.
What do you think about that, folks? See, in 1979, Chrysler was given money to keep its doors open, but the condition was they were not to produce this car.
How about the water-injected carburetor? They had one of those too.
Yeah, Chrysler, another Chrysler product. Yeah. See, this industry is not for your benefit. It's for the benefit of industry. It's for the benefit of capitalism. It's for the benefit of a corporate entity to be able to produce something that you will see as a need or necessity or want, desire, so much so that you're going to give over property for it. That's the slavery. That you're going to be willing to give up property that you have because they have something that you think is good for you, which it may very well be. It is good to have a car that you can travel from point A to point B and get from your house to grandma's house during the holidays. But that automobile that's used, that conveyance that's used, how technical is it? How convenient is that? Is that the element that's being used against you, making you believe that you have to spend $55,000 for an automobile today? That in 1979, Chrysler could have brought out an automobile that would have saved on gas, oil, and spark plugs. All three elements of the fuel industries: electric, gas, and oil. That's your major industry. That's your major power industry. And this one car would have allowed you the convenience of not having to wait until you get to the next gas station to fill her up. This is the slavery that we're talking about, folks. And again, it's the language and the knowledge. If you don't understand how to get over this belief stuff by doing your research, I think it's because you're lazy. So let's get on to the next one. Elon Musk is one of my guys, in case you didn't know. I don't support him in any way except for the speak that he speaks. So let's take a look.
Elon Musk may well be the savior of Western civilization, a founding father for a new generation of people to think freely and live freely.
The Democrats almost universally control social media.
Of course they do.
Except this one wild African American. This one wild.
Y'all did know that he's African American, right? That's what they call him anyway, African American, and that's a copyrighted term, of course. So you have to think about it.
Genius dude decides to buy Twitter.
Isn't it amazing?
Amazing. If he didn't do that, we would genuinely be f***ed. We would be in a real pickle.
Honestly, Twitter or X now is really where I get like all my news. Like I don't even resort to a lot of the mainstream media places, at least for breaking news. Like I'll find it on X. So God bless Elon Musk.
He's definitely made it take a turn. And for anybody who thinks that's exaggerating, you have to take into consideration that is not a business move that any corporation that wants to make money would have approved.
No.
You understand what he just said there? Elon Musk, with all this money, bought a company not for a business reason, because that's not a business move. You don't buy a business and then tell the advertisers to fuck off and open the platform up totally. You don't do that. That's what Elon did. He bought Twitter and told the advertisers to fuck off. Now, whether it's going to do any great good or not, I don't know. But again, that's why I like Elon. So let's get back into the next one. We got oh, here we go.
You're meeting these people. You talk too much. You're meeting these people and you're volunteering all this information that you shouldn't be volunteering.
This is the metaverse, folks. If you're going to be on this metaverse and you don't know these people and you're going to volunteer the information, you damn well better be able to protect yourself, because ain't nobody else out there going to do it. Okay? Your building manager that owns that pays for the internet, he's not going to pay for it if you're at work. At home, your internet provider's not going to pay for it. They aren't supposed to censor. You're supposed to censor yourself. This is how you beat censorship.
Telling them about past relationships and all of the bull crap that you put up with, right? And you think that they're helping you heal, and you think that y'all are growing together. And what you don't know is they're weaponizing your trauma. They're waiting for you to get vulnerable. They're waiting for you to fall upon hard times, and they're going to beat you up and use the same ammunition that you gave them. They're taking the things that you've been through, and some people are secretly sitting back waiting to see how much they could get away with. No, you think that I'm lying, huh? You told him your last boyfriend cheated on you with a white girl. Well, guess what he's going to do? He's only going to cheat on you with black women now because I didn't cheat on you. At least I didn't cheat on you with another race. You told him your last boyfriend slapped you, huh? Well, you know what? I'm just going to grab you up and shake you a little bit. At least I didn't slap you like the last person. He gave you an STD that you couldn't get rid of, huh? Well, you know what? I'm only going to give you a chlamydia or something you could take some medicine for to get rid of. You talk to.
Are you guys catching on? I hope you're paying attention, because that's exactly what it is. If you don't know how to use this metaverse, if you don't know how to approach guys and be social with them, ladies, you're going to have the shit thrown back at you. That's why it's important to understand what's going on so you can throw the shit back at them. It's time for you to start doing the hustle instead of being hustled. The next one.
If you don't control the record, it will control you.
Yep.
Wants to discuss the difference in your performance between.
This goes to, as here, it's the employment platform. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say it's going to go to your relationship platforms as well. because if you're not going to get the rewards that you're expected, if you're not going to get the promotions that you're expected, when you become a dad and you start taking care of that child and you start taking him outside and teaching him how to play ball, mom should be appreciative. And vice versa, dad, you should be appreciative of mom. When that little girl grows up and wants to go to ballerina classes, mom's going to take her to ballerina classes. That means you don't have to. It means you have time to spend with your boy. It's all relevant to how we treat each other in every aspect of life, no matter what hat you're wearing. So please pay attention. Where your value comes from and how you assert it and what you get in compensation for it. Because truly, you are your own master. And if you're going to let them manipulate you, then you deserve it. If you know what's going on and they don't promote you and they ask you about it, listen to this guy. He gives a great response.
Last year and 2020. You were the top rated employee in 2020, but it doesn't feel like you've been nearly as present or focused since then.
Yeah, see, he was the top rated employee in 2020. And after being the top rated employee, they didn't want to pay him any special attention, it seems like, according to his story. So he didn't put in the full effort anymore because they passed him up. Knowing that he was one of the top workers, they passed him up. Why would you do that? See, this is the fallacy of working in that corporate system when it's a popularity contest, folks. If you're going to be popular and you remain popular, then you got to be popular by doing that popular thing, and that's kissing everybody's ass.
Yeah.
What's changed?
Well, yes, in 2020 was the second year in a row I didn't get a raise, even though I was the top employee. And when I asked why I couldn't get a raise, you said it was because my pay was a fair market value for my position. And when I asked where my pay falls on the pay grade scale, you said it was below the median, so below the average of what I could make in my position. So at that point, I just decided I'm going to become a fair market value employee and put in a below average amount of effort, because that's what I feel like you pay me to do. You've created an environment where there's no incentive for me to work hard, so I don't.
You've created an environment where there's no incentive for me to work hard, so I don't. So ladies, if you're going to bitch at your man, and guys, if you're going to chew your lady out, same thing. It comes to communication, and if you truly love each other, then you learn how to communicate without having to call each other names and get irate and up in anger and all of this. You learn how to sit down and have a Socratic discussion. Quid quo pro, back and forth. The next one. You got anything on that one, John?
Nope. I like this Socratic expression. That was very warming.
Yes, that's what we've got to learn to do, folks, and be good with it. Like this guy, he evidently worked for a couple of years and was good with it because they didn't want to give him a raise, and he still used the job. So okay. So be Socratic about it. Don't let it bother you so much. Sooner or later, along the time, somewhere, something's going to happen. And this is why I say always have patience. Always have patience. So, the next one goes to, again, supporting each other, no matter what the venue. This is an interesting, inspiring story from World War II.
Would you believe that a small Tennessee town turned into a war zone against crooked politicians? In August 1946, Athens became the scene of a showdown between returning World War II veterans and Sheriff Paul Cantrell's corrupt political machine. Fed up with Cantrell's dirty tactics like voter intimidation and rigged elections, the veterans formed the GI Nonpartisan League to take him down. When deputies blocked African American voters from casting their ballots, things got ugly fast. The vets, armed and determined, assaulted the county jail where the rigged ballot boxes were kept. And after a tense standoff and gunfire exchange, they blew the jail open to retrieve the ballots. Deputies gave in, and the vets' candidates were declared winners, sparking reform in the county. Amen to the Second Amendment. Would you?
Again, I urge people to understand that Second Amendment should actually be the First Amendment. I firmly believe in order to stand on your private association rights, you have to be able to fend for them, like I said before. You have to have a responsibility. Therefore, that comes first. Your right to bear arms should be first. Do you hear me now?
And we're bearing our arms, maybe, literally.
Yes. Okay. This is in correlation to what I'm talking about with the documentation and everything when it comes to healthcare.
Following a patient.
When it comes to healthcare, you have, as the patient, you have superior rights to determine your course of medicine. Okay? The doctor will agree with that. Ask him. Next time you go to the doctor, ask him, do you recognize that I have the ultimate authority in making the medical decisions in what we do here? And he can, oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Why would I? Of course. Okay.
Tumor size. We need an MRI to see how the tumor is behaving. The insurance company will deny it. I will call them. I will say the patient needs why? Because of this. Did you get a CAT scan first? No, they don't need a CAT scan. They need an MRI. No, they do. And I have to argue for 45 minutes. Yeah. Guess what I don't get paid for as a doctor? Well, for me, I'm a weird scenario, but everyone else, time. If you're a lawyer, are you doing anything for 45 minutes without getting compensated?
I don't find that doctors will call and argue.
Most doctors.
So now we have the position of a doctor and a lawyer who both get paid for their time, as opposed to the patient who doesn't. Yet it's the patient that has the ultimate power and authority to make the determinations. If that's so, again, would it not be pertinent for the patient to have the fair understanding and knowledge to make that discernment himself?
How about diagnosis, Keith? That means that both the patient and the doctor don't know what they're doing.
Absolutely. What's it take to diagnose a broken hand, folks? Can you do that yourself? Why would you need to go to a doctor to diagnose a broken hand? I don't go to the doctor with a broken hand. I go to the parts store. I go down to the local automotive parts store, folks, and I get a fiberglass kit and a bunch of cotton wrap. I make my own damn cast. Set the bone and make my own cast. Now, I'm not giving out medical advice for damn sure. I'm just telling you from my firsthand experience what I do. Now, I seem to be pretty good at it because my hand seems to work just fine. Has been for a long time. Fucked that hand up several times. Matter of fact, I don't know how I lost it, but I lost the cast, and it was a permanent cast. It was a split cast, so that once I was done using it, I could take it off and use it again. So as my hand was healing and I needed to hop in the shower and wash, I could actually take my cast off, put some new cotton wrap on it, put the cast back on it when I was done taking my shower.
Well, that's nice.
So it's a matter, it's a matter of, again, taking on your own responsibilities by your own abilities. And the only way to have responsibility and the ability is to educate yourself and quit believing. You have to quit believing, folks. That is the insanity. There's another one that shows you the importance of knowledge, this one in particular when it comes to the warfare.
In 2018, the Russian Wagner Group had a bright idea to attack U.S. base in Syria. The USA swiftly introduced them to the military meaning of the term overkill. At 10 p.m., Russian armored column attacked and shelled the U.S. base. Mortar, artillery, and tanks relentlessly pounded the tiny outpost. U.S. troops rushed to their defensive positions and returned fire with small arms. Immediately after the attack, Secretary of Defense called the Russian counterpart and told him to stop the raid. Russian High Command responded with, "We don't have Russians in the area."
We don't have Russians in the area. Oh, you don't? This is a Sun Tzu tactic.
USA said, understood, and an order was issued for the attacking force to be annihilated by any means necessary. Moments later, F-22, Apache helicopters, B-52 bombers, MQ-9 Reaper drones, and all of Marine artillery in range engaged in a brutal 12 hours long campaign of destruction. After all was done, not a single living organism survived in that 1 square mile. Defending U.S. soldier described the landscape as moon-like. In the end, the USA contacted Russia again and confirmed that there are no troops in the area. Russians did not respond. In 2008,
they did not respond this time. They were devastated. Devastated. So when you want to play those silly games with the military that has such a great advantage, you might want to be careful of the knowledge that you're trying to deal with here. And again, this is just, it's horrific that people would go to these measures, but that's what you get for playing war, guys. Keep raising your children up. American, German, Canadian, Mexican, Russian, I don't care, and neither do they. Don't you get it? They don't give a fuck about you or any ad hominems or your concepts or ideas or anything. They're going to do what they're going to do because that's what they do. And until you understand that and learn how to separate yourself from that, that's the only way you stay out of the way. Quit raising your children up to be warriors. They don't belong in that war. If there's no children to grow up, to be in that war, in other words, if you're not bringing them up to go to war, then they can't pull them into the war. Again, quit believing that any kind of fictional nation says that you have to give your children up to them to fight a damn war.
That's not right. Serotonin makes human beings more dominant, but less aggressive. And the only reason it makes them more dominant is because they're less irritable and they're less defensively aggressive. So it's not bollocks. I know my neurochemistry. So if you're going to play neurochemistry, let's go and do it.
Okay, well, you say antidepressants work on lobsters.
Yes, they do. They make a lobster that's been defeated in a fight more likely to fight again.
That's not the same mechanism that happens in humans.
Yes, it
lobsters
is.
don't get depressed as the way that humans are. I think you're anthropomorphizing into a ridiculous degree.
In other words, what's going on here is if you keep getting depressed, there's a way to come out of it, and it's called serotonin. The body produces it naturally. You do not need medication. So you find yourself researching what brings up the serotonin rates in the body so that when you get in these situations, you can calm yourself and relax your emotions so that you don't get caught up in a traumatic experience of emotions, but actually a logical, reasonable situation of Socratic thought to solution.
These are creatures
that actually helps prevent the fighting.
Urinate out of their faces.
I think that the fundamental issue among knowledgeable animal behaviorists is that anthropomorphization with animals is generally the appropriate tactic unless you have reason to doubt it, which is because there's continuity between us and animals rather than discontinuity. And the idea that the anthropomorphization of animals is inappropriate is something derived from 1950s behaviorism. That's not
1950s behaviorism. What was 1950s behaviorism? Remember that video we just saw about the voting right, the Civil War, or the World War II had just gotten over, and they were having all these people back home now, and what was going on? We were coming up in this civil rights movement and feminist movement. It was because of the war that all of a sudden everybody started thinking about these other rights and everything that they had because of the war. The war was done to provoke that kind of thought in you, to help enhance future wars. They're ad hominems, folks. And I got one more, and then we're done for the night. So let's check this last one out.
God created the universe.
Oops.
Some people think God created the universe. Some people think nothing created the universe, which is the funniest guess. And the nothing people make fun of the God people. They say God doesn't exist. I'm like, okay, maybe. But you know what definitely doesn't exist?
Nothing.
Nothing.
That's the defining characteristic of nothing, is that it doesn't exist. So what are we talking about? Either you think it's God, something you can't see, touch, taste, photograph, and science can't prove, or you think it's nothing, something you can't see, touch, taste, photograph, and science can't prove. But I think we can all agree, if your nothing sometimes spontaneously erupts into everything, that's a pretty magical nothing, you guys. And ask the nothing people, what happens when you die? They'll tell you, nothing. You go into nothing. I'm like, you mean you merge back with your creator?
You get that one, folks? You mean you merge back in with your creator? You know, the guy that's nothing? So, anyway. What do you think, John? What do you think? Give us a word on the way out the door.
Well, I'm just thinking of from Facebook to being a U.S. citizen. I found one from Groucho Marx. Please accept my resignation. I don't want to belong to any club that will accept me as a member.
Yeah. I don't want to belong to any club that will accept me as a member. Yep. All right. Well, with that, folks, you know, I really hope that everybody can learn that there's something better out there, and that all it takes is a little bit of research so that you can change your path of what you're doing in life. Instead of just sitting there letting other people do things to you, become an active member of your life and make sure that you're doing it for the positive outcome, so that if you've got children, those children see you as a head of the household, both moms and dad, working together, showing them in that working together yourself. That's their teaching of how they grow up working together with other people, how they learn how to develop these social skills so they don't have to look over somebody's shoulder and get their name off of a goddamn credit card. Learn how to be open and talk to each other and quit being so goddamn afraid. You know, I grew up in an era where mom and dad told us, you're not supposed to talk to strangers. Excuse me? What about, again, Leviticus 25, verse 23? If we are all strangers and sojourners with him, shouldn't we be talking to strangers? Shouldn't we be telling the strangers that we love each other? Isn't that what we're told to do? And here we are in these societies, these capitalist societies, saying, shh, don't talk. I urge you the opposite, the opposing dynamic. That is, if you are going to talk, that you speak on what you know. My mom used to tell me all the time, Keith, you always think you got to be right. No. I just know that if I open my mouth and I haven't done my research, I'm going to sound stupid like everybody else. I only speak on things I know about. So anyway, with that, we are out. And you guys know me. I love you. But I don't give a rat's ass whether you love me back. And that's to say, I don't care if you hate me. I don't care if you don't respect me. That's on you. So may God bless you and have a good night. Bye now.